Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Welcome back. Hey JC, how you doing up there, award-winning podcaster?
My award-winning podcaster friend, I'm doing quite well, actually. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your awards. For those that are listening, if you did not know, JC has his own podcast as well called Interesting Things with JC, and it is now an award-winning podcast. Cheers, enter the cheers.
Yay! Yeah, it's been
awesome.
It's been quite the year, Wendy. It really has been, and a big kudos working with you as well. It's been pretty fantastic. I do look forward to the future of where this podcast is going, so that maybe we too could rise to the level of award-winning for the standards that we have in place and keep in place in support of the HR Empowerment Podcast team.
Yes, absolutely. So for those that are possibly new to the podcast, JC and I have had two podcasts together, the HR Lady podcast and HR Empowerment, and now they are merged into one, which is this podcast, HR Empowerment. And if you are listening on the AuroraTrainingAdvantage.com website, you just need to create a quick login and you can get SHRM and HRCI credits. So I would definitely check that out if I were you. With that said, what we are here to talk about today is, we're talking here with an amazing author, a professional speaker, a disability-related consultant, and a client support consultant. And we're going to be talking to him about unlocking the potential of disability inclusion, something that is near and dear to my heart. Go ahead, JC.
Yeah, but before we do, I do just want to circle back to one real quick thing before we see his name on the full introduction. You know, those credits that you can get for recertification, if you know like I do, sometimes you might be spending a very labor-intensive day, let it be in a training course, a training session, a seminar, and sometimes they're not put together by amazing people like Wendy Sellers, the HR lady, and they could be a little grueling. So just by spending a little bit of time listening to this program, you're going to be well on your way to continuing to recertify that certification that you have. Maintain those post-nominals, which are so critical in today's human resource infrastructure. And if you are not a member of those teams that have to worry about HR credentials, guess what? This program is chock full of great information. Let it be business leaders, managers, or anyone around. We've found small business leaders take great success and advantage in learning from our show. With that, Wendy, back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's so, interesting. Like you can get credits from listening to a podcast and get education too. Today, like I said, we're going to be focusing on disability inclusion. So I'd like to welcome to our show, Jeff Arseneaux. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Wendy, how are you? And congratulations to you, JC.
Thank you. Thank you. We both appreciate it. And thank you so much for your time today. It's been a while since we caught up. I wanted to just jump into our conversation here because I really do rely on you for a lot of this information and I appreciate your time. Can you share with our listeners who are mostly HR people, managers, probably small business owners, or people trying to get into that space? Can you share your personal journey and what inspired you to become a consultant for disability inclusion in the workplace?
I appreciate that. And once again, congratulations to JC. And thank you, Wendy Sellers. I mean, why do I thank Wendy? Because it's an honor to be invited to talk about probably the number one thing I'm passionate about is, who am I? I'm a man with a disability who's trying to make it in life. I went through I've been working since I was 14 years old, and for the next 20 to 25 years, I held 2 jobs and was quite successful in management. And some things went on in my life, and I had to do some reconstructing of my life and made some moves. And I was at a point in my life where, for the first time in my life, I had to look for a job. And a 40-year-old man with cerebral palsy looking for a job isn't easy. So one of the things I dug into was other people with disabilities. And I figured out that I actually had a leg up on other people with disabilities because I've been so active in my life. And it's really something that I want to be talked about. I want HR communities to bring this topic up and just bring it up. Let's talk about it.
I love it. Absolutely. I want it too. That's why we're here. It's definitely, I love the name of your company, by the way. Call on Jeff. I mean, how easy can that be? If they can't find you, call on Jeff.
Well, one of the things, the reason I made my website Call on Jeff is I'm a believer in going to the source. I'm a believer in, all your life you go into a restaurant and you see people whisper, what's wrong with them? I wonder this. Well, why not come to me? Why not ask me what's going on? And that's why the Wendys of the Sellers of the world and the JCs of the world have my 200% respect, because y'all want to know about me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who else to ask, right? If we're going to be talking about disability inclusion, why don't we ask somebody who's actually living with it? Oh, JC's raising his hand. Go ahead, JC.
I've got a question right away, Mr. Jeff, and this goes to the fact that you said y'all. That doesn't sound like a typical drawl that we might hear from other parts of the country. Where's that come from, if you don't mind?
No, baby. New Orleans. I was born and raised in New Orleans.
I love it. I haven't been there in a couple of years, so I definitely probably need to come back and visit. Hey, let's talk about, continue this conversation on awareness of people with disabilities. And you're the one that just said that it was very difficult to find a job when you had to go and, make some adjustments in your life and finding a new job. I mean, tell me some of the things that you've ran into. What barriers? Were they people? I'm sure they were.
Well, the number one barrier for me, and this is something that the world we live in, we're bragging about, the technology of everything. It's really hard for people with disabilities because of the dexterity that we deal with. For you to go to a keyboard and type an email is an everyday occurrence. Well, for me to walk to another kiosk, that's like a really big deal. And some of the things, perception is something that I would like to talk about maybe now or later on. But
no, let's do it right now. What are some of the common misconceptions employers have about hiring individuals with disabilities, and how can they be addressed?
One of the things is, do we have to work? Well, I do. I have a family that needs me. I want things. I want to go on vacation. I want to buy a house. And guess what? I want to help a company grow. And me and my wife were talking about this last night, and she threw out a few things. Some of the misconceptions of revolve around safety. Are we going to be okay? Are we going to fall? And is there going to be a lawsuit? Well, guess what? And this is going to be funny, Jesse. I give you permission to laugh. If you were raised having cerebral palsy and you know you're going to get up and you might fall, you would look for something to hold on to.
Right.
I think we are safer than the average person. So that's one little niche that I want to put into your heads. And of course, can we do the job? Can we perform the job? And I put a lot of thought into this conversation. Is how many people that you hire can you say from day one that they'll be able to work out, that they're going to meet my needs? And one of the things that I'm real giggly about is not what can't we do, not what are we going to struggle with, what can we do? What are some of those things that my company needs that Jeff can bring to the table? Because Wendy, having a disability brings on a lot of assets that a lot of the public doesn't have. And one of those assets is, if you employ me, I am going to give you 200% of my heart, whether I'm getting a commission check or not. Even if you're paying me $12 an hour, you're going to get everything I got. In today's world, I'll be honest with you, it's hard to find that. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, this is perfect timing, actually. An Accenture study revealed that companies investing in disability inclusion had 30% higher profit margins and double the net income compared to their peers.
Wow.
And one of the reasons, it's like we had a conversation this morning, Jesse, and we didn't. One of the things that I wanted to explain is that loyalty and that enthusiasm that I want to do it. I want to make it. I want to get promoted. That spreads throughout the company. So eventually when your staff is watching the Jeff Arseneaux of the world struggle, and they're seeing that man ain't giving up, well, that gives them an opportunity to kind of look in the mirror and say, am I giving my 100%? In the loyalty, it saves on turnover in the long run, because I got news for you. If you hire a person with a disability and he's able to do that job, he's not going to leave you. He or she's not going to leave you. And that, I love the challenges of life. Is it hard? Heck yeah, it's hard, Wendy. But my life is hard, so.
Absolutely.
Companies that actively employ individuals with disabilities report a 90% increase in retention of other valued employees and a 72% increase in overall productivity. Wendy,
wow.
Back to you.
I absolutely love that statistic. And it just goes to show that, listen, coworkers, peers, team members, they want this. They want inclusion of all type of people. We're just happen to be speaking about disability inclusion right now. So folks, let me repeat what JC just said. If a company is active with their disability inclusion plan, they're going to increase retention of people, of all their valued employees, by 90%. Like, holy cow. In this day and age in 2025, when there's turnover, people have options. They can pick up and go anywhere, including another country if they want to, especially remote workers. It's so important to keep engaging our employees, increasing that productivity, and of course, increasing the retention. Why? Because recruiting is expensive. It is incredibly expensive and time consuming, and most companies just don't have the bandwidth to do it, just the mental bandwidth, even if you have the budget. So Jeff, I have a question for you. How, talk a little bit more about your personal experience about enhancing workplace diversity and contributing to organizational success. Clearly, people with disabilities have the knowledge, skills, and abilities that we need, right?
We do. I think this is where I pride myself on playing devil's advocate. We play a role in this. People with disabilities play a role in the whole inclusion. And my job is to express what my needs are. And my job is to express what I'm good at. And also, my job is to express what I'm challenged with. Because if I don't force it, I'm not giving you the opportunity to help me grow. But in the other side of it is I need to believe in myself. I need to have the confidence that says, hey, I'm not doing quite as much as what my peers are doing, but guess what I am doing? I'm making a difference in the staff and the morale. Yeah. And I need to ask myself, what can I, and this is something that I openly talked to my boss about. In fact, today we talked about, where's my future? What do I need to do to keep moving forward? So, because I'm never going to be okay with just having a job. And that attitude, Wendy, that's part of why people respect me. Because I keep grinding. And I need to hold myself accountable for going to the company I'm going with and saying, look, is this working out, or can we try something new as far as, and it might be something, it might be a new thing, but I, as a man with a disability, can't be afraid to shine the light on what I'm good at.
Only 4% of employers report that their recruiting efforts specifically include people with disabilities, despite widespread support for inclusive hiring practices. Wendy, that's coming directly from SHRM. So, pinning real quick off of what Mr. Jeff just said about doing some things different, and the thought of recruiting being such a pivotal moment in this potential process with the inclusive hiring practices, are there some things that we could shine a light on there or think about a little bit differently specific to recruiting?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that. I mean, listen, folks, you've probably heard me talk about this a million times, but I'm going to talk about it one more time. Whether somebody has a disability or not, your recruiting process, it has to be a plan. You got to be thinking about recruiting as a project plan, right? And so you have to have the job descriptions done. You need to have this clearly written out, essential responsibilities and then non-essential responsibilities. And they have to be compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. This is whether you are hiring somebody with a disability or not. So, make sure that that you are number one in 2025 moving forward is looking at your job description and saying, are they legit? Are they real? Have they been updated in this century? And then using those lists of knowledge, skills, and abilities that should be very clearly delineated in the job descriptions to go out and attract people with disabilities or without disabilities. That's why job descriptions have in there non-essential duties. So if somebody does have a major disability, maybe they can still get hired, but they just can't do the non-essential duty, and that's where the accommodation comes in. The other thing that I wanted to say, I know you have something else to say, JC, but the other thing I wanted to tell everybody, there is this amazing resource, and it's completely free. Our tax dollars already pays for it, and it's called Ask Jan. It's the Ask Job Accommodation Network. So ASKJAN, I believe it's .org. I am on there all the time. I'm the HR lady, and it is an overwhelming amount of information. You could just go up in the top right corner, put a little search box in there, and you could find any information about giving accommodations to somebody with a temporary disability, a long-term disability, mental disability, physical disability, intellectual disability, you name it. So we already have these sources available that we already pay for. Use them. Why not? We let our tax dollars actually do some work for us for once. With that said, go ahead, JC.
Yeah, nearly 90% of employers who used Ask Jan reported that the accommodations they implemented were either very effective or somewhat effective. So it's just a little bit of data to support taking a look into askjan.org. And regarding 2025, and after this, I'll throw it back to the two of you. The U.S. Department of Justice finalized a rule requiring state and local government websites and mobile apps to meet the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG 2.1 level AA standards. And they had till April of 2026 for entities serving populations of 50,000 or more. That's important when we're thinking about technology and inclusivity. Back to you.
And that same web content accessibility guidelines, it is going to be effective for smaller entities too. So if you're thinking, oh, we're not serving a population of $50,000 or more, I think that deadline's in April of 2027. So get with your IT department, or if you have an IT consultant, it is very, very important. Speaking of consulting along with disability inclusion, Jeff, tell us, what you do at your organization, Call on Jeff.
Oh, I love talking about this. It was created about 9 to 10 years ago, and the whole idea is to encourage people to call on me when they have questions about anything that has to do with a disability. Of course, I pride myself on employment, but I struggle with everything in life. I don't like to talk about this, but when people do have children with disabilities, there's a very fear factor there. Well, call on Jeff. Let's have a conversation. It's built towards bringing the word disability to life, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, training, kind of important, right?
Yeah.
Training to train everybody in the company, but definitely managers, absolutely hiring team members and HR, but really training of all your employees. I mean, think about it. I'm the HR lady. I do training all day, every day. I do conference speaking, you name it. But when we're going to go in and do, like, say, harassment training, we do it for everybody. We don't just do it for the bad people. We just don't do it for managers or for hiring team. We should be training all our employees on all kinds of knowledge, skills, and abilities, including disability inclusion and the opposite of harassment. JC threw me a stat over here. I'm going to read it real quick about a Deloitte survey found that 41% of respondents with disabilities experience microaggressions or harassment at work, indicating that, there's a lot of misconceptions and biases. And I also want to say then there's probably no training. So what are your thoughts on that, Jeff, about training? And do you do that for individuals and companies?
I do. I basically do speaking engagements, but I did a 30-minute training to a nonprofit a month ago, so I'm wide open to it. What I do is I speak upon my experience. I've been a manager. I've been an employee that got bullied. I've been a manager that witnessed bullying. So I definitely think that it's something that we just need to talk about. And I don't know, maybe the HR lady can answer this. I don't know why we're not. Because one of the things that I wanted to bring up is the training of the staff. If I come in and you ask Wendy to train me, and Wendy's not comfortable with people with DDs, disabilities, well, I'm going to feel that, and we're going to go through 2 days of training, and I'm not going to get much of it because I know you don't believe in me. Yeah. So when you take the trainer, it goes really deep. I think it goes deep for anybody. You need the right person to train that individual. But when you're asking somebody to train a person with a disability, that trainer needs to be the right person.
Yeah, it really does. And it also needs to be the fact that we just need to normalize it. I think a lot of people, a lot of humans, because they haven't been around somebody with a disability, they're afraid they're going to say the wrong thing or the right thing. So that's why I love our friendship, Jeff, that I can just ask you anything and you're going to say it, but maybe not everybody else will. I do want to say, since we are on the Aurora Training Advantage HR Empowerment podcast, that we do have training around disability related topics on our platform. And I myself do some of the training on, ADA basics with a focus on visual and hearing disabilities. We talk about anxiety, stress, and PTSD under the ADA, and even the overlap of the Americans with Disabilities Act, FMLA, and workers' comp. But I get what you're saying, Jeff. We need even a more deeper dive to make it not so HR-y, just make it normal for everyday people, everyday humans to maybe just say, how do I talk to somebody with a disability? Not everybody is as open as you, right?
And nowadays, I think the word diversity has taken a turn. And sometimes I feel like people with disabilities are non-existent in the word diversity and inclusion. And only a man with a disability can say that in open space. But I question why, and that's one of the things I want to change in the world is why are we so reluctant to have a round table with the topic of physical disabilities?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I have an idea. Do you have, or do you want you and I to create together cheat sheets maybe for employees and employers on dealing with people, communicating with people with disabilities, forming friendships with people with disabilities?
That's so funny, Wendy. On my head and on my Word document, it's got cheat sheet for employers.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. We really need to make this a focal point. You can do that, and hopefully it spreads. Because people with disabilities have a lot to give. They really do. And they need jobs. And we need to provide jobs for them.
Absolutely. So, folks, he just assigned me homework. And so Jeff Arseneaux and I are going to be working on cheat sheets for not only for employers/managers, but also for employees and good old regular everyday humans of interacting with people with disabilities. I myself have many friends with disabilities. So it doesn't it comes natural to me. But now that we're talking about it, we realize it doesn't come natural to everybody else. We will be looking at some additional resources with those cheat sheets of the U.S. Department of Labor actually has an Office of Disability and Employment Policy. There's the Job Accommodation Network, the Ask Jan Network that we've already talked about, and there's so much more. So thank you. And
hey, let me add one thing.
Sure.
Every state has a state office with a budget that is devoted to put people with disabilities to work. It's called vocational rehab. So I just wanted to put that in there before we close.
Absolutely. I'm writing that down.
There are resources out there. We just need to look for them.
Excellent. Wow, this has been so great. Thank you so much. Hey, before we wrap up, are there any other resources, books, courses, or organizations that you'd recommend for listeners to be interested in diving deeper into disability inclusion? I hear you have a book.
I think I do. It's about 3 years old. Thanks to Wendy Sellers. You were a big part in making that happen. You and my wife. It's called Just Call Me Jeff. It's available on Amazon, and it's a book of my life. It takes you from my birth to about 2 years ago, and I have been in some very low spots, but I'm riding high today. So take a peek at that. You can reach me on LinkedIn. My email is on LinkedIn. My website is Call on Jeff, and I do have a YouTube channel, and it's based on basically what my life is like on a daily basis. So I want to thank you and JC for making this a focal point. It touches my heart, and it shouldn't, because it should be a normal thing. But it's a really big deal for me.
Well, thank you so much. We will make sure we include in the podcast notes Jeff's LinkedIn, his website, and a link to his Amazon book, Just Call Me Jeff, My Life with Cerebral Palsy. Thank you so much again for your time today. Hey, everybody that's listening, this is a reminder. If you listen to the podcast via the HR Empowerment website, you can get HRCI and SHRM credits, which is amazing. Take care, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.